del u del x. So we found that when we solve these equations, essentially we do not solve this, but there will come some other terms here in the right hand side. Okay, when you do the modified, I mean, when you get the modified equation for this particular equation to be solved, then we will end up to some terms here. Okay, some a term plus b. So essentially, modified equation is not modified equation shows the extra other terms which are being solved along with the actual PD. Just wait a minute, my system got hanged. So we started with modified equation. So when we want to solve a certain PD, say for example of this sort, then instead of solving this equals to 0 term, we landed up solving some term extra terms, okay, as a whole. So this modified equation, if you observe this modified equation and the associated right hand side terms, then we can identify the effect of uh, so-called error which is coming in solving this PD. Okay. When you wanted to solve this PD, we are essentially solving this PD. So we have certain error in it. So what error it can be? How what is the how we can see the type? What is the characteristics of this error? These things can be studied from this modified equations. Okay, and for a different scheme, for a different governing equations, these modified equations are different, and those need to be derived. So we have seen a procedure. Also, we have seen a procedure, step by step procedure to arrive at the modified equation. And then once we discuss about this modified equation, we have came to know about a certain term called as amplification factor. And we have used this amplification factor in order to perform the stability analysis, then amplitude error analysis, and the phase error analysis. Okay. So whenever you're discussing this stability analysis, amplitude error, and phase error, these analyses have been performed with different equations. So, like for example, this is one equation. So, govern equation for certain govern equation. So, certain govern equation or PDE along with the its numerical method to solve. Maybe forward time in backward space or forward time in central space, like this. Okay, or backward time in central space, such as schemes. So for this particular scheme and for a particular PD, what should be our stability condition, how the amplitude error and the phase errors are restricted, or what parameters affect this amplitude error, phase error, that can be studied by doing this analysis. Okay, through this amplification factor term and through this modified equations. Okay, so this gives us an idea about a particular nature of the particular type of finite difference schemes, and how and based on that the your explicit methods and implicit methods, how these explicit methods behave in terms of the stability, amplitude error, phase error. These have been discussed. Now, after discussing these basics of the analysis of any scheme, then we have discussed about the solution, the non-dimensionalization. Okay, non-dimensionalization, non-dimensionalization of governing equation, and boundary conditions. Boundary conditions, also initial conditions. Okay. So how, when you do this non-dimensionalization, we always try to see the variables are varying from either 0 to 1. Okay. So that any variable, suppose it is a temperature, suppose it is a velocity, or it is the concentration uh, of any fuel or anything, concentration, then these values should vary from 0 to 1. That was our criteria. Now, to get this kind of non-dimensional numbers, t, we converted t into some theta, sometimes u converted into some capital U, c it converted into some c star, like this. Now, when you want to define this theta, you have to be very cautious. Okay. Now you have to define this theta such a way that whatever parameters, now say parameter x, parameter y, I'm taking. So these parameters should be taken such a way that these parameters x, y, or I mean a, y, these parameters should be given in the within the problem. Okay, you should not take some parameters which are outside the problem. Suppose in this problem, if they are talking about only, suppose there are parameters like, in this particular problem, for example, there are parameters like T cold or T hot, means hot temperature, cold temperature. Okay. Now these variables are there. You have to use these variables such a way that you can get a non-dimensional parameter theta. So the trick is like this. So here it is considered like any variable whose value is minimum and then maximum, and then it is taken like TC here and TH minus TC. Okay. Now you know that this is the maximum value, this is the minimum value. So when it is a maximum value, this T, when it becomes a maximum value, it becomes TH, and when it is a minimum, it becomes TC. So you see here, when it is a maximum, this whole becomes 1, and when it is a minimum, it becomes 0. So you should be in a position to find out such a kind of equations, okay, such a kind of relation. Need not be necessary that always theta is defined like that. No, no, this is not. Theta is not equals to always. T minus Tc. It depends upon the problem. It depends upon the situation. You have to define this T such a way that you get a proper values of theta. Proper means values from 0 to 1. Similarly, you also you have to define a non-dimensional variable u, capital U, such a way that it uses only those variable. So suppose this is a 1D problem, then in that case in 1D problem x distance is given. Okay. Now you can then design in x direction. You have some known velocity u, and you have the some sort of representative velocity in your domain. For example, the maximum velocity or average velocity given in your problem, then you can define that u infinity or something like, and then you can define them with this. Okay, so this u infinity, u infinity, this should be given in the problem. This you cannot take anything. Okay, suppose these are only these parameters are given, then you cannot define like this. Defining u with respect to u and v infinity is a wrong, because v infinity is not given in the problem. So you have to check these parameters. The point to be remembered is these parameters which you are using, this should be within the problem. These parameters should be given within the problem, and their property should be, they should vary from 0 to 1. They should vary from 0 to 1, 0 to 1. Okay, and you should know the significance of this non-dimensionalization in terms of the computational efforts that have been taken, or whenever you solve any problem, how you can extend the results of the problem to the n number of cases, or generalization of the solution. That is a whole target or aim of a non-dimension. You should be in a position to do the non-dimensionalization of any problem given to you. You should be in a position to analyze the errors. You should be in a position to find out the amplitude, stability analysis and phase error of particular scheme. You should be in a position to find out the modified equation for a particular scheme. Okay. So after the things which you should be able to do, the next thing we have started with solution of 2D heat conduction problem. Okay. So this solution was essentially extension of 1D to 2D. Okay. So we have considered the first case, our explicit case, and in this explicit case there is no simultaneous solution of the simultaneous equations. So we have to straightforwardly calculate the values of the unknown variables, and we have seen a very simple algorithm for this explicit method, where we have to initialize the data and then simply calculate the unknown values of those variable. So in case of t n plus 1, subjected to the known values from the previous iteration or previous time. Okay. So for present time, you have to have a old time values. So old time values were given. Now in this case ij. So as old time values are known, new time values are calculated. So simply for old time values, these all values are known at n is equals to 0, and then we wanted to calculate new values. Okay, we wanted to calculate new values. This t n plus 1 values are calculated by using this all tn values. So it's a straightforward. At every point, get the known values, find out the new value. Get the known values, find out the new value. That is what we were doing. And once we achieve certain time level where we do not see any difference between these and these values, this n and n plus 1 value, then we stop our simulation and we accept that these values, finally these values which are not changing from your its the previous step, or we want a certain time, then we print these values, and these values are final time values. So this printing of these values was done in those algorithms. in the second category, we had a sort of implicit method. Implicit method. Now, in this implicit method, what was the difference? You have to solve simultaneously all the equations. Okay. So for interior points, you will get simultaneous equation. Points, you will get simultaneous equations along with boundary points, boundary points, along with boundary points. Okay. Now, these interior points and boundary points values, these equations can be expressed in terms of this Ax is equal to B format, Ax is equals to B format. Okay. Now, this is very popularly, we know that this is a matrix and we know that how to solve Ax is equal to B. And we have seen that what properties of this matrix should be satisfied so that we can find out this X. You know, to find out this X, what we have to do? We have to take a inverse of this. So this matrix should be an invertible matrix. That is the condition. And when this matrix can be invertible, so there are certain conditions that need to be imposed by this A inverse B so that we can calculate A inverse and get the solution. Uh, okay, so sorry for a disturbance. So we need to have a property satisfy this matrix to invert it. Okay. So what you have seen is that when you want to have a convergent kind of iterate this particular when we solve these simultaneous equations, it means that you have to do some iterative process. Okay, iteratively. So whenever you are solving this particular system, here these implicit methods are mostly iterative. Okay, they are iterative methods. So in this iterative method, essentially we guess the initial values, and then from these guess values, now these guess values act like a initial conditions, as in case of unsteady problems. So this guess value, we assume some guess values, and from these guess values we keep on calculating and then correcting the solution. Okay, we keep on assume some x values, solution values, then keep on calculate, and then we finally arrive at the x values. Okay, that is what the procedure is. Now when you are moving from one iteration, iteration 1, iteration 1 to another iteration, likewise going to finally the final iterations. Now in this case, uh, when you are moving towards a solution, what was the guarantee that we get a convergence? Okay, so convergence guarantee. Okay, guarantee of this convergence is to be checked. So to guarantee this, there is a certain thing which is the Scarborough criteria. Okay, and what this criteria says, suppose there is a matrix, then we should have a diagonal dominance. At this diagonal, what are the elements are there? These has to be dominant compared to any other elements present in the matrix. Okay, so this diagonal value should be higher than the sum of the other values. This diagonal value in the second row should be higher than or equal to the other values. This diagonally dominant, this should be diagonally dominant in such a way that this sum of these two should be less than or equal to this value. And at least for one row, it should be greater. At least for one row, the any diagonal for any row, that diagonal should be greater than the sum of the other non-diagonal or sub-diagonal or sub-diagonal elements. Okay, that was the Scarborough criteria. If that happens in a particular matrix, then there is a guarantee that you are going to get a convergence. So convergence means you are going to get a solution easily. Okay, so that was the condition we have seen. And to get this solution, when you want to solve this ax is equals to b, ax is equals to b, this type of matrix, we came to know that we do not actually solve this matrix. So what do we do is we essentially go for a approximate matrix, and then we solve this system, and then B. Even we do not construct this A approximation. Okay. So in case of Gauss-Seidel method, this some A approximation will be there. Then some Gauss-Jordan method, some A approximation matrix will be there. But we do not construct the matrix. So we go for to solve iteratively these matrices. We go for a something called as matrix-free method. Okay, matrix-free method. Now, in this matrix-free methods, we have came to know that suppose this is your guess value, then we find out the new value when you have a guess value by taking into consideration the residual of that equation divided by the central coefficient, that is the diagonal element. Okay. So if you do this process, then you need not to store this matrix, and you can directly use this equation without creating any matrix, without generating any matrix, and get the solution. Okay. So for interior points you can have, for boundary points you can have. Okay. So for every boundary, left, right, top, bottom, for every boundaries you will have a different set of equations, and these equations you can iteratively solve till your rij becomes 0 or some value, which is very very small, 10 to the power 5 or 10 to the power 6, like that. Okay. So it's like it should be very very close to 0 or 1 you can. Okay. So such a values, rij should reach to such a values, then you stop your simulations. Now when you say your system is converging, when your system is converging from your initial solution towards final solution, now this convergence may be slow. Okay. Or there may be some difficulties in convergence. Okay. So there may be some difficulties. So in order to enhance the slowness or remove the slowness of your convergence behavior, we have something called as acceleration. How to accelerate? And to remove the difficulties in convergence, we have something to remove this convergence difficulties. Okay. That we have seen through uh, the omega parameter. Okay. This omega parameter, this is called as under relaxation or over relaxation parameter. Relaxation parameter. Relaxation parameter. Now, in order to do this, remove the difficulty and accelerate the solution, what was our target? The most target element in all our process was this one. Okay. So if you divide it by omega, and when omega is a very small number, omega is less than 1 and omega is greater than 1, then we get different things. If omega is less than 1, then this whole value will become larger, and this whole value becomes smaller. Okay. So this AII becomes essentially a larger value. And when omega is greater than 1, AII becomes smaller value. What does it mean? If you have a matrix and this your diagonal term is getting small and large, what does it signifies to you? Suppose this diagonal element is getting large. So it means that it is becoming diagonally dominant. It is becoming diagonally dominant. If it is diagonally dominant, means convergence, good convergence. Okay. So suppose you have a matrix where you have a slow convergence, then what you can do? You can increase this diagonal dominance by dividing it by some small number. And suppose you have already a diagonal dominance. Suppose you have a diagonal dominance. Suppose this number is 100 and these numbers are like 1 1. So 1 1 1 plus 1 2. But uh, in comparison to these two values, 100 is a very large number. So instead of have working with this 100, 1 plus 1 2 greater than 2 is also good number. So maybe 6 or 10 is a good number, 10 may be a good number. So why not to divide this 100 by 10 so that we get this 10. So rather than working with very large number, then we can work with this small number and we can accelerate the code. Okay, we can accelerate the value. Suppose this value is a large number, 100, then this total becomes very small. So if this is a small, then you keep on adding. It is like you have taken a point 1 and then you are taking a very small number, 0.001. Then the sum of this will be 0.1001. But instead of taking this, if you could have taken point 1 itself, then you could have got some point 2. So you see what is the difference between your guess solution. Here Gauss solution is very small. Still, it has a large number of steps to be done. After many steps, it will reach to 0.2. But if your this value is a little large value, then you can get something like in a quick iteration. After maybe this might take 2 to 3 iteration, but this might take many iterations. Okay, maybe 8 or something like that. So this is a slow. This is a slow. You are getting a solution in large number of iteration. This is a slow iteration process. If you are getting in within this, this is a fast. So acceleration is done like that. Okay. So finally, that particular method, when you do this method for Gauss-Seidel using Gauss-Seidel method, then uh, this particular method relaxation, then it is called as Gauss-Seidel successive over relaxation, successive over relaxation method. So GSSOR. And what is the difference? Whenever you want to calculate Tij n plus 1 with this Gauss values, Tij n plus 1, you have to simply uh, multiply with Rij or divide it by the central coefficient, and you have to simply proceed. This is your Gauss-Seidel successive overrelation algorithm. Okay. Now, why Gauss-Seidel? Why not Gauss-Jordan? So that we have already mentioned that Gauss-Jordan's, suppose Gauss-Jordan method is there, then you have a Gauss-Seidel method. If Gauss-Jordan method takes n number of iterations, then this Gauss-Seidel method takes n by 2. So this is Gauss-Seidel method is very fast compared to Gauss-Jordan. So that is the reason this become GSSOR, and GSSOR again will become more efficient compared to this GS itself. Okay, so suppose you have a GSSOR, then again this GSSOR becomes much more efficient as compared to the Gauss-Seidel method. Okay, and this is now a industry standard in all your Fluent, ANSYS Fluent, okay, and any other software you use for a CFD application, they follow this Gauss-Seidel SOR method. Okay, this is a by default algorithm used in all type of solvers, CFD solvers used for fluid flow and heat transfer problems. Now, while looking at this implicit method, we have looked at the BTCS method, backward in time and central space. And then also we have looked at some other methods which are implicit in nature. Those were Crank-Nicolson method. Okay. So Crank-Nicolson method we have discussed. You should be in a position to do with this Crank-Nicolson and other methods. BTCS method is also an important method. You should be in a position to solve with BTCS method any 2D heat conduction problem or any other problem. But as far as now we are discussing about the heat transfer problem, we'll be focusing more on heat transfer cases. Crank-Nicolson method, this is again an implicit method which is having a good accuracy, delta t square, delta x square, delta y square for 2D problem. So it has a second order temporal accuracy. And what was Crank-Nicolson? Crank-Nicolson was nothing but the sum of BTCS and FTCS. Okay, BTCS and FTCS scheme. So if you do this thing, then you can get a proper matrix with you can get again Ax is equals to B, and in this case B matrix will be the nth level known values from this FTCS, and here you will get matrix from the BTCS, and then you can calculate T values for those problems. Okay. There was another method which is called as alternating direction implicit. Okay. Now the methods, previous methods were going from one point to another point ij, from one ij point to another ij point, like that. So these methods were point by point method. Now ADI and other methods, they go by block. So they will consider first the horizontal block, and then later on they will consider the vertical block. So alternating direction implicit method was discussed. Similarly, there was a method which was called AD explicit. That AD explicit method was also discussed. All these methods were second order accurate in time and space, and they give so they have a certain features that you need to be followed, uh, where you alternate the direction. In case first case you alternate x, you solve your tridiagonal matrix algorithm TDMA algorithm in x direction, then you solve in a y direction. Okay, and you finally get the solution. In ADE, you take certain variables like p and q, and you do it uh, in a manner like this. Okay, so what we do here is uh, we solve essentially for we solve for these points. So we go like this. Okay, and then we go solving for x in this in the same manner. Then while coming from the back, so we again come from the back side. So when we are coming from the back side, we do calculation for q. Okay, so when you go for this, we go for p, and when you come down, we calculate for q. So while going up, we calculate for p, and from coming down, we calculate for q, and then finally we calculate these values as a average of. So the solution T will be average of P plus Q by 2. Okay, so whenever you are coming from this side, when you are at this side, these values should be known. When you are going from left to right, you are at suppose this point, these values will be known values. So in your governing equation discretization, the suppose this is ij, then I minus 1 and j value, these values will be kind of a known values, nth level values, but this value will be n plus 1th level value, and likewise it will be made. And you can calculate p and q. Once you calculate p and q, you average it, you will get a solution for ADE method by ADA method. Okay, so please look into these versions. Okay, already you have looked at BTCS and FTCS methods. So get a little practice in this solving these methods also. ADE, Crank-Nicholson, ADI, and get yourself comfortable in at least solving using hand calculators. Okay, so take some small so take some, suppose you are taking 1D problem, or suppose you are taking 2D problem. Then while solving this problem, you take the grid size very small. So say 5. So 1 2 3 4 5. So n is equals to 5 in x, and m is equals to 5 in y. So there will be actually 25 equations, and 25 equation you can solve by calculator. So your matrix will be 5 by 5 matrix. This will be a 5 by 5 matrix, and you try to solve using calculator this matrix multiplication and so thing, x1 to x5 x n m n, whatever the values are there. Okay, so these many so 25 will be there. Okay, for this case. So you should be in a position to solve for a very simple case, any of these methods, BTCS, this thing. Since we are not giving any computer assignments or any computer algorithm related assignments, so you have to essentially do on a hand calculator so that you understand the procedure. Okay, so make yourself uh, comfortable with doing these calculations. Okay. So this is what we did in our this thing. So these modified equations, this non-dimensionalization and solution of 2D problem or any heat transfer problem using any of these method will be a focus of our test 2. Okay. So I hope that this is, I'll just now finish this lecture. Okay, so anybody is having any doubt, they can ask. Otherwise, I will just close the lecture. Wish you all the best for your exam. Okay, then I'm closing this, huh? Okay.